Hello, are we live? Yes, we are. Welcome back, guys. Welcome back to yet another live stream, a Q&A live stream. If this is the first time we're meeting, my name is Oliver, and I'm a master's student in economics at Aalto University here in Finland. And during these weekly live streams, I answer your questions about studying and building your early career here in Finland. So if you are new to the channel, do consider subscribing and posting a question so that I can answer it live. So if this is the first time you are joining us on these live streams, how this works is that I have a link to a Google form in the description box below. And if you have any questions that you would like me to answer here live, please post the questions into the Google form so that I can answer all of your questions in a first come, first serve basis. Usually the chat gets pretty busy at one point during the live stream. So if you post your questions into the chat, it is highly likely that I will miss them and I will not be able to answer them live. Also, if you are not yet a member of our Discord server, I would really encourage you to join the community. So basically, the idea of the Discord server is to build a community of people who are interested in studying and building their careers in Finland. If you are not yet a member, let me just create a link that I will post into the live chat so that you can actually join the Discord server right now. Also, just a moment so that I can, if you can hold for just a moment, I will also post this link into the Discord server. So usually what I do is in the server, I post updates about my future videos and upcoming live streams. And we have a bit more personal dialogue because we're able to chat a bit more freely compared to, for example, in the comments here on YouTube. So just a moment, guys. I will post a link to the live stream into the Discord server. All right. Hey, Bo. Hey, and Joken. Awesome to have you here live. If you just jumped to the stream, if you guys don't remember how this works, is that I have a Google form link in the description box below. And if you have any questions about studying or working in Finland, please post your questions into the form, which makes it a bit easier for me to answer all of your questions in a first come, first serve basis. Awesome. I think I will jump directly into the form and start answering questions from last week that I didn't have time for before we ended the previous stream. Also, let me know what you're drinking this evening or this morning, depending on your time zone. Currently, it's 6:35 p.m. here in Finland. I'm drinking this is a Finnish drink. Due to Finnish marketing laws, I'm not allowed to disclose what this is, but this is really good. Awesome. How are you guys doing today? Awesome to have you here. Before I answer Hannah, before I answer your question, I will go through a couple of questions from the Google form. So just to repeat myself, how these live streams usually work is that I have a link to a Google form in the description box below. Usually the chat gets pretty busy after a while, so it's really difficult for me to spot all the questions from the live chat itself. So if you have any questions that you would like me to answer live, please try to post them in the Google form. because that makes it much easier for me to answer them on a first come, first served basis. And I will not miss any questions. Anyhow, I will jump into your question in just a second. I have 2 questions in the form before that. Cool. The first question for this evening comes from Abbas, who is from Bangladesh and is going to apply to study in Finland in the next application period, which again starts this December. He is interested in international trade and business, and the question is: after completing my master's program, could I find a job in banking in Finland, because I have 7 years of experience in the banking sector, especially in trading? Yeah, absolutely. We have in Finland, if you graduate as a master's in business, you should have no problems of finding a job. Period. That's just a rule of thumb. In general, compared to all other university graduates, business graduates have the highest employment numbers in Finland. I think the latest numbers from the business interest group, which is called Suomen Ekonomit or Finnish economists, had the employment numbers for business graduate who had after 1 year of graduation, I think the employment numbers were like 94%, and a lot of the unemployed people were actually unemployed for their own volition. So, for example, some were on a maternity leave or something else. So, business graduates have really, really good employment numbers. So, absolutely, if you have experience in already prior experience in the banking sector, and you do a master's in Finland, absolutely you will be able to find a job even without speaking any Finnish. Excuse me. All right, next question comes from Sahil, who is from India and is applying also to study in Finland in the next application period. And he is interested in computer sciences. Awesome. And the question is: I will study Masters in computer science from next semester, and after graduating from my master's degree, I'm wondering whether I'm able to find a job in my field. I'm sorry, if I'm not able to find a job in my field, which is computer sciences, would I be able to work for full time, for example, in the restaurant business, and whether or not the Finnish immigration service would actually extend my residence permit so that I could actually look for a job in my field. All right, so let's simplify this question a bit. The question was basically about whether or not you can extend your residence permit in Finland, even if you don't find a job in your own field after graduation. The answer to this is yes. Excuse me. Yes, absolutely. So, actually, the residence permit based on work that you can actually apply for after graduation is not dependent on the field that you find the job from. So, for example, I'm a business student. If I get a job, say in healthcare, in the healthcare industry, that would still be okay. So it doesn't the field that you would be working in does not actually matter. What I can say here, Sahil, if you're online currently or seeing this in replay, is that if you do a master's in computer sciences in Finland, you will absolutely find a job, and a very good and a very high paid job as well. Currently in Finland, we have a huge lack of talented computer scientists and software developers. And I think the current number was that we are lacking over 10,000 developers currently. And that number is growing by the thousands every single year. So actually, universities are currently having an issue with this topic because they are not able to get their students, computer science students, to stay at the university to finish their degrees, because companies in Finland are basically stealing them away into the job market before they ever graduate. So if any one of you is wondering whether you would be fine, whether you were able to find a job as a computer scientist in Finland, the answer to that is yes, absolutely you will. That is guaranteed. Taking disclaimer, you always have to know what you're doing, but as a general rule of thumb, yes, you will be able to. Let's stop for just a second. I just want to say hello to everyone. First of all, Hannah, it's awesome to have you here. Hannah is from Dubai, planning to study in Finland by next year. And the question is, I will actually get back to that in just a second. But awesome to have you here as well. Astro, awesome to have you here live again. It's awesome to see the regulars on the live streams. I'm sorry guys, I'm a bit tired. Had a long day. Arjun, awesome to have you here as well. Someone the same to you. Young, hey, what's up? Xenotech, I know you send me your name, but I have to use your alias since you're in the chat. Awesome to have you here as well. Faiz, same to you. Aditya Raj Singh, awesome to have you here as well. Sul, I'm sorry to butcher your name, but Sulkhumar Satarova. I hope that I got it at least somewhat correctly. Awesome to have you here as well. Guys, actually, now that there's plenty of you here live, I will just repeat how these live streams usually work. So as you can already see, the chat is actually getting pretty busy. So I have a link to a Google form in the description box below. And if you have any questions that you would like me to answer live, could you please, if you don't mind, post your question in the Google form so that I can answer every single question in a first come, first serve basis. Usually, because the chat gets pretty busy, I usually miss some questions and I really don't want to skip over someone because I simply didn't notice them in the chat. So that would be awesome if you could do that right now. Also, I just want to let you know, guys, that my channel was recently monetized, which means that the channel is actually, you can actually, the live chats have super chats enabled. So if you guys want to support what I'm doing on this channel, I would really appreciate if you want to throw in a super chat. As a note, all super chats and questions from super chats also go in front of the queue. So just to let you know. Anyhow, awesome to have you here. Let's jump into the next question that comes from Alia, who is from Egypt and is applying in the next application period and specifically interested in computer sciences. The question is, hey Oliver, no, I will apply to 3 different universities for bachelor's degree in computer sciences, and one of them wants me to do IELTS language exams, and the other wants me to do SATs. Can I just do one exam, one of these exams, or do I need to do both of them in order to apply? It will be so hard for me to do 2 exams. Right. So this is actually a problem, unfortunately, and there's really not that much that you can do about it. Different universities in Finland require you to do different exams for the application process. Some do not require SATs at all. Some might not even accept SATs. And for example, here in your case, one university wants you to do the IELTS exams and one the SATs. Unfortunately, the situation is that you have to do those exams that each university requires for their application. My recommendation is that if it is really difficult for you to study for both exams, and if it's really difficult for you to do them in terms of your schedule, I would simply choose one of those universities, or maybe 2 out of 3, which require the same exam, and then just focus on that. Studying for these exams, and especially considering that all the university admissions in Finland are done on a competitive basis, meaning that only the best applicants actually get in or get admitted, you should definitely focus on one exam in order to get the best points that you're potentially able, right? So my recommendation would be to just focus on one and then apply to those schools that need that specific exam, if you get what I mean. All right, so the next question comes from Dimitri. And by the way, Hannah, if you haven't posted your question in the Google form, just let me know in the chat so that I can answer your question from there, so that I don't skip you because you were here first. Anyhow, the next question comes from Dimitri, who is from Germany and starting school this semester. Awesome. And specifically starting school at the University of Helsinki in natural sciences. That's great. And his question is about bank accounts for foreign students in Finland. How to open one, what are the options, their pros and cons, as well as compatibility with modern technologies, banking apps, online banking, etc. That is a great question, and normally I would prefer not to recommend a specific bank because they are actually pretty similar, and the only big difference is that they vary a bit between their monthly costs. However, I've come to the realization that there is basically two banks that I would recommend you guys to look at least first, and then you can compare them to other banks or other banks as well. So the first bank that I would recommend that you look at is called Nordea, which is a really, really big bank. It's one of the biggest banks in Finland. It's one of the biggest banks operating in the Nordics, and they also operate around the world as well. I will put all the links in the chat in just a second. One of the reasons to use Nordea as your bank is that they have, if not the best, at least the closest to the best mobile banks and mobile apps in Finland. So they have a really good mobile bank. In addition, they have different services that go with that mobile app, and you are able to actually integrate your mobile app, for example, with your student card. So when you pay with your contactless payment app, you can actually get a student discount automatically without showing your physical student card. So that's really cool. So I think this is the first bank that I would recommend. I will have it in the chat in just a second. All right, it's already there. The second bank that I would recommend you guys to look at is called Danske Bank, which is also a large Nordic bank, again operating worldwide. The same reasons basically apply here. So Danske Bank has almost as good, if not equal, mobile services compared to Nordea. Their costs, the costs in their services are pretty much the same. There's not that much difference. In addition, since they are large banks, they are more fail-safe in a sense, meaning that their services work better internationally as well compared to some other banks where you might have some problems. Otherwise, there's basically a gazillion different banks that you could become a customer of. Personally, I have personal bank accounts in 2 different banks, and then my companies have utilized 2 other banks as well. So I'm basically a customer of 4 different banks in Finland. All of them are fine, but I think Nordea and Danske Bank have the best mobile services. To your question about how to open a bank account, I actually have a video on the channel. Just let me look it up. I have a video on the channel where I talk about the things that you need to do after arriving to Finland. And one of those things is opening a bank account. So I talk about the topic a bit more in that video, but basically what I would recommend you to do is to first contact the bank via phone, on the phone, and ask what kind of documents they require of you in order to open a bank account. I'm lost for words today. Because all of the banks require different documentation, especially since you're an international student. You come from Germany, so within the European Union, so that shouldn't be a problem for you. But just call and then reserve a time slot for their customer service, and then that should do it. If you try to walk into one of these banks to open a bank account, that won't do. That won't you won't be able to do it because you have to set up a couple of things beforehand. Mm. So I have the video about the things to do after arriving to Finland in the chat right now. So I hope that answered your questions at least somewhat. There's so many different details about banking services in Finland that I'm not able to answer every single one of your questions here live. Next up, we had the question from Hannah, who is saying, "Hi Oliver, I am Hannah, currently in Dubai, planning to study in Finland next semester or next year. My question is how's Kajaani University when it comes to education, and how's the state of Kajaani when it comes to everything else? Comes to job opportunities, part-time jobs. Thanks in advance." That's a good question. Let's break it down. First of all, I would say that University of Kajaani is a good school. If you find a degree program that you are interested in, and that you think, and that you're eligible to apply in the sense that you think that you're able to get admitted, then I can definitely recommend Kajaani University for you. However, if you're looking to apply to the best universities in Finland, if we compare by ranking, then the University of Kajaani is not the highest ranking university in the country. Again, I just want to disclaim that the overall level of education in universities and universities of applied sciences in Finland is extremely high compared to internationally compared to other schools internationally. Which means that I can personally recommend any university in Finland. However, what I would look at when you're applying to a school or considering a school is A, do they have a degree program that you are interested in? And B, do they have a degree program that you think that you are able to get admitted into? Why the second question is that, for example, Aalto University, which is the highest ranking university in Finland, where I study, it's also the most difficult university to get admitted into because they are able to choose their applicants or students better. So consider these. In terms of your second question about the job opportunities in Kajaani, I don't have any personal experience. Kajaani is not one of the largest cities in Finland that I can say, which means that, for example, finding a summer job in your field is going to be a bit more difficult compared to, for example, working in Helsinki or the capital region. This is, of course, natural because the larger the city, the more employers you're going to have in the city, which means that the more job opportunities. However, if you know what you're doing, if you have good grades from school, I don't think you should have any problems finding a job. And if you're having problems finding a job in Kajaani, you could always apply to work in Helsinki during the summer, sublent your apartment in Kajaani for the summer, and then come to Helsinki to work for the summer and then go back to study in Kajaani. So I think these are the best options for you. Before we go any further, I just want to acknowledge a couple of people. Let's see who we have here. Brian, awesome to have you here as well. Welcome back to the stream. I hope you enjoy the stream and get some value out of it. By the way, guys, if you are getting value out of the stream, if you don't mind, do give the stream a thumbs up so that YouTube knows that this is actually giving you some value, so that it can actually prop it up a bit more in the algorithm. Also, for those of you who just joined us, I actually just got super chats enabled on the channel. So if you want to support what I'm doing here on this channel, I would really appreciate it. Appreciate if you want to maybe use the super chat at some point, because that helps me grow the channel. And all questions submitted through the super chats actually go in front of the queue, so that you will make sure that I will have the time to answer your question live. If you're wondering what super chats are and how they work, you can actually find them under the live chat box where you have a super chat button. Anyhow, let's jump to the next question. Hey, Handy Andy, awesome to have you here as well. Of course, this is a weekly live stream. I'll try to do this as long as I'm physically able. Anyhow, the next question comes from Abhimanyu, who is from India and has not yet decided whether or not he wants to study in Finland. However, he's interested in Aalto University and one of the degrees in hard sciences. And the question is, hey bro, tell us something about how I personally got into Aalto and my journey. That's actually a cool question. So I started my studies at Aalto University in 2012, so more than 8 years ago, unfortunately. I haven't yet graduated. I still need to do my thesis, which is maybe halfway there. How I applied to Aalto, basically local students, so Finnish students, have a completely separate application system compared to international students. Basically, how it worked back then for us is that after graduating high school, we can apply to different universities around Finland, and the admission is done based on our high school final diploma, so we can choose which or both through an entrance exam, which is based on a bunch of different specialized books that we need to read. So after I graduated from high school in 2011, after I graduated from high school in 2010, I actually applied once to Aalto and I didn't get in. I didn't really study to the exams at all, and it was a big failure. So after that, I went to do my mandatory military service in 2011. So from January 2011 to January 2012. So if you didn't know, in Finland, we still have a mandatory conscript service. So all men have to do at least 6 months in the military. Most people do 12 months. I did 12, went to the officer school, and actually enjoyed it quite a lot. It was actually quite a lot of fun after high school. After my military service, when I got out in January 2012, I basically spent 5 straight months studying for the entrance exams, roughly 11 hours a day on average for the entire 5 months. I did really, really well with the entrance exams, and I got in with really good points. And from there, I basically have been doing school, working quite a lot in between, and this is one of the reasons why my studies have been postponed quite a bit. So I have done 4 years in a recruitment company as a marketing specialist, and then I did a couple of years as a B2B sales specialist at a student-run organization. So I basically contacted a lot of companies and tried to sell them different events where students would have the opportunity to get to know these company representatives who want to hire business students. So that's basically my background in summary from the last 9 or 10 years or so. Thanks for the question. The next question comes from Veronica, who is from Poland but lives in Belgium. Cool. My girlfriend actually lived 3 years in Belgium. Doesn't speak Flemish, but speaks very good French with a Belgian accent, which is a lot of fun. Veronica is applying to study in Finland in the next application period, and is interested in international business and trade, which she is also studying right now. So the question is, I'm coming to Finland for the spring semester and I will study at Metropolia Business School, so Metropolia University of Applied Sciences. I want to know, I would want to know if you know something about Metropolia University of Applied Sciences or know someone that is studying there. Sure. So actually, my girlfriend who, excuse me. So actually, my girlfriend who is also doing her degree in Aalto University School of Business, she actually has a second degree from Metropolia University of Applied Sciences from what is it called? Mm, occupational therapy, right? And personally, she didn't enjoy the studies that much because of the actual field itself. But then I also know, for example, one of my best friends is currently studying automation engineering at Metropolia, and he has been pretty happy with the studies. I know that Metropolia has a really cool new campus. They just opened the new campus in the eastern part of Helsinki. It's apparently pretty big and has very nice facilities. I also do know that it is one of the most popular universities of applied sciences in Finland. And again, referring back to my earlier answer about the level of education in Finland, basically all universities and universities of applied sciences in Finland are very high quality compared to a lot of schools internationally. And I'm sure that you're going to be very, very happy. The one thing that I would note is that if you want to take everything out of your experience in as a student in Finland, don't just focus on school. So if I understood correctly, you're basically coming to do an exchange period here in Finland. If this is the case, I really recommend that you don't just focus on studying, sitting at the library or at home, but rather try to get as much out of the student culture and student activities that we have here in Finland as possible, because that is something that is going to set Finland completely apart of your experiences in Belgium. I know that the education system in Central Europe, in Belgium, in France, in Germany, especially, is completely different in terms of how much students are able to participate in different activities and how much they're able to run different volunteer organizations. And this is something that is very unique to Finland, and I really recommend that you take as much out of it as possible, because that's going to be a very cool experience for you. Before I jump any further, once again, I just want to remind you guys that I'm currently reading the questions from a Google form that I have linked in the description box below. So if you want me to answer your question here live, please post your question into the Google form instead of the chat, because the chat gets pretty busy during the live stream, and I will most likely miss your question unless if you post into the live chat. So again, the link to the Google form is in the description box below. All right, so the next question comes from Pilar, who comes from Nigeria. I'm sorry for butchering your name. If you want me to learn how to pronounce your name, please send me a DM on Instagram, specifically an audio message where you teach me how to pronounce your name correctly. He is starting a school in Finland this semester, and specifically in XAMK Kouvola, so Kouvola University of Applied Sciences. And the field is digital international business. And the question is, I've gotten an admission to resume school next year. Awesome. Congratulations. And the question is, do you have any information about visa processing to Finland? Is it difficult to get a residence permit for students? I don't yet have a video about this topic on my channel, but I thought that I will do a video about it now before December, when the application process for the next round starts. So the application process itself is not that difficult. You can do it from the website of the Finnish Immigration Service. Let me just pull the website for you. Right, I have the link in the chat, so please go ahead and check out that website. So the Finnish Immigration Service basically is the governmental body that grants residence permits. So what they say on their website is that if you need a residence permit for your studies, um, you need to apply uh, for one from the immigration office website. The residence permit is only valid for the duration of your studies. If your studies take less than 2 years, at maximum, it's valid for 2 years at maximum. Um, so basically, the only thing that you need to do is after you have been admitted to study in Finland and you get your admission letter, you can apply for residence permit using those documents plus your personal documents. They have good instructions on the website. As long as you have a admission letter to study in Finland and you don't have basically a criminal record and you have enough money to sustain your life in Finland, so you need to have X amount of money on your bank account, you should have no problem at getting a residence permit. It's pretty rare for the immigration service not to give you a residence permit if you have already been admitted to study in Finland. I can't give any more exact information than that because I have no experience in actually going through the application myself. I have never worked at the immigration service. However, this is my general understanding of the situation. Hey, Kim, awesome to have you here as well. Kim, who is in the chat, is actually one of my buddies from Finland, studying at the University of Helsinki. Awesome for you to drop by. Love the support. Next question comes from Aditya. Aditya, who comes from India and is also applying in the next application period. And again, Aalto University Aalto University, and specifically studying computer sciences. The question/comment is, hey, Oliver, thanks for all the great content. You're welcome. I love the fact that the videos on the channel are actually giving you guys value. If they are not, please let me know. I would love to get some constructive feedback about the videos, whether or not they're interesting, whether or not they are actually laid out in a fashion that you actually understand. Because if they're not, please let me know so that I can actually improve them for the future. There's no point for me to make videos that no one is interested in watching. So please shoot and give me any feedback that you want, either in the chat or, for example, in the comments of the videos or in the Google form here in the live chat. The question is, I want to know, how is the IT job market in Finland for non-European Union students? That's a great question, and the answer to this, Aditya, is that the job market for IT specialists, basically, especially software developers, is extremely good. Currently Finland is experiencing a lack of over 10,000 software developers. And that number is growing by the thousands every single year. The problem is that the residence permit process for non-European Union citizens who have not studied in Finland, so basically for those people who are just moving to Finland to work, that residence permit process is extremely idiotic, and it has been a target of constant critic from business leaders, business owners of large companies, because there's such a huge demand for talented IT people in Finland that it's incredible how badly their residence permits are being processed. However, the big difference here is that if you are actually coming to Finland to study and you do a degree in Finland, you already get a residence permit for your studies. Plus, after you graduate, you also can get a extended residence permit for 1 year, if in the case you haven't already found a job. So you can use that 1 year to find a job. However, the situation is currently that if you study computer sciences in Finland, especially if you study at Aalto University, which is the highest ranking university in Finland, it is 95% likely that you will be hired to a company before you ever graduate, meaning that you will already have a job before you graduate, and then you will almost automatically get a residence permit. Currently, actually, universities are having an issue because their computer science students are not graduating from school. So Finnish universities actually get their public funding from the government based on the graduates that they actually get out of the school, right? So the amount of graduates each year. And the fact that people are not graduating because they get a job already before they graduate, that's actually costing the universities a lot of money. So the situation is as follows, basically. So for you, if you study at Aalto University, or if you get admitted to study computer sciences at Aalto University, you will have excellent opportunities, job opportunities in the Finnish job market. Next question comes from Faiz, who comes from Indonesia. Awesome. Love the fact that you guys come from all over the world, from South America to India to the only place I haven't seen anyone is from I think there was one guy from Australia last week, but not from, for example, from New Zealand. I guess the time difference is too bad. Anyhow, Faiz is applying to Aalto University, again, computer sciences, in the next application period. And there's a couple of questions here. The first question is, how is the startup ecosystem in Helsinki and in Finland? That's a very good question. And the answer is that the startup ecosystem in Helsinki is one of the best in all of Europe. So especially if you apply and get admitted to study in Aalto University, at Aalto University, Aalto University itself has one of the most active startup ecosystems in all of Europe. And many of the, for example, events that have come from that startup ecosystem have actually grown into to become the largest startup events and concepts in the world. So, for example, every November, this year is of course an exception. Every November in Helsinki, there an event called Slush is organized. Slush is the world's leading startup event where over 20,000 people, startup entrepreneurs, investors, members of media, come to Helsinki for 2 days to attend this massive event. And Slush was originally, or it basically originated from the Aalto startup ecosystem. In addition, Aalto startup ecosystem also has the leading hackathon in all of Europe called Junction, and this is an exceptionally good event if you are of an entrepreneurial mind. In addition, the Aalto University campus houses different startup accelerators, where I've personally actually attended multiple events, where the idea is to connect startups, entrepreneurs, and investors. And actually, as it happens, this space that I'm live streaming from is actually not my studio, but this is actually the office of a startup that I'm actually partaking in as the founder and CEO. We actually have a technology startup that started from Aalto University, and we already have our first investors, and we're looking to grow the company from here. I will maybe tell you a bit more about this, but now is not the time to do that. We're not public. So to summarize, Finland and Helsinki specifically has one of the most active startup ecosystems in the entire world. So you're going to be happy. The second question was, I'm planning to apply for Masters in Computer Sciences at Aalto. How common is it for students to take part-time jobs in tech company/startups? And is it feasible while maintaining the quality of your studies? Right. So I basically answered this previously. So it is extremely common for computer science students to take jobs already during their studies, part time or full time, because there's such a demand for talented software developers. My recommendation is that try to be realistic about it, and make sure that you are able to do the minimum amount of credits that is required of you. So because if you're from Indonesia, so outside of the European Union, you have to do at least 45 credits per year in order to retain or extend your student visa. So if you're not able to do your studies, I'm sorry, if you're not able to complete 45 credits at minimum per academic year, you will basically be kicked out of the university and the country as well. So make sure to keep the work to such an extent that you're actually able to do the required credits. Also, as since you're a non-European Union student, you can study. I'm sorry, you can work at maximum 25 hours per week on average. I actually have a video about part-time jobs and how much you can work in Finland as an international student on the channel. So if you want to check that out, I highly recommend going and watching that, because I go through all the restrictions about working in Finland, and then actually come back here and rejoin the chat. Or I'm sorry, this is the stream. This third question is in regards to student part-time jobs for students. What is the easiest, most relaxed one available to students in case I just want to do something other than computer science things? Actually, that's an interesting question. I would say that working like at a bar, just picking up glasses in the evenings, that might actually be fun. The pay isn't that good, but it's you don't really have to think that much, and it could be fun. The problem is that especially at the current moment, because of the COVID situation, finding these kind of service sector based jobs is really difficult. But I would say that if you want to get this kind of a relaxed, non-brainer job, just start walking into every single bar, restaurant, and grocery store in the vicinity of your apartment, and just ask them whether they have anything for you. Anyhow, let's move forward. The next question comes from Ahmed, who comes from Algeria, is applying in the next application period, and is interested in the field of IT in general. And the question is it true that if I want to study at Turku University, I should study my first year in China? I read this in a program. I read this from an information pamphlet about the program in information and communication technology for bachelor's degree. That sounds pretty ridiculous to me. No, I don't. Absolutely not. There's absolutely no mandate to do that. I highly doubt it. Yeah, I don't think so. The program that you have noticed might be some kind of an international collaboration with the University of Turku and a university in China, but you can definitely apply to study in Turku directly. There's absolutely no mandate for you to study in China. I'd never heard of this before, so highly doubt it. All right, before I jump to the next question, let's jump for a second into the chat as well. Rai, Alen, Ulah, awesome to have you here as well. I will get back to all of your questions in the chat after a while, once I've gone through all the questions in the Google form. Again, if you want me to answer your questions live and you want to make sure that I don't miss your question, post them in the Google form that is linked in the description box below. Hannah, actually, I answered your question. You might have jumped out of the live stream for a second. I actually answered it maybe 15 minutes ago. So you could actually either check the replay, or if you want to check the link, you can, under the video on YouTube. There's, if you go to the description box and click see more, You can actually, if you scroll all the way down, you can see these um, notification emojis, and then between them, I have a link into the Google form, so you can find it from there. Again, let me know in the chat if you're not able to find it. I can link it somewhere for you. Who else new do we have? Alia. Alia saying super chats aren't available in your country yet. Thank you for your useful information. Darn. All right. Well, thank you so much for the for thinking about it. Uh, if you guys didn't catch what I said before, I actually just got my channel monetized, so you might have seen an ad before the video. Also, this means that super chats are now enabled in the live stream. So if you want to support what I'm doing here on the channel, I would appreciate if you wanted to use the super chat at some point. You can find the super chats in the at the bottom of the live stream. I'm sorry, the live chat box, and all questions asked through the live super chats, of course, go into the front of the queue. So I will answer your question right away. Shiwan, awesome to have you here as well. Arthur, hey man, it's awesome to have you here once again. It's also always awesome to have the regulars in the live stream. Nelton Fernandez, awesome to have you here as well. Who else do we have? I think that's everyone. All right, let's jump into the next question. Arthur is asking, hey, Oliver, just arrived in the live. How are you doing? Do you have any recommendations of places where I can buy affordable furniture and bicycles? Yes, I actually do. That's a really good question. If you can just bear with me for a second. I actually have a video about how to save money as a student. And I will link the video in the live chat right now. So please check that out there as well. There you go. I have, in that video, I think I have 10 different tips on saving money as a student in Finland. Basically, student apartments, buying or renting recycled furniture, eating at student restaurants, ordering food from surplus services, which is a really cool thing that we have in Finland, registering to public transit cards for students, subscribing for student support services, basically going to student parties instead of normal clubs because that saves you a lot of money, and etc. etc. There's quite a lot of stuff there that you can utilize. Thanks, Lex, so much for the positive feedback. I really appreciate it. Love to have you here. If the live stream and the channel is actually bringing you some value, I would really appreciate it if you gave the video or this live stream a thumbs up, because that tells YouTube that you are actually getting some value out of this, and they will prop it up a bit more in their algorithm. Next question comes from Roman, again, who comes from Italy and is interested in, who is already studying business in Finland. And the question is actually a really good one: how to make Finnish friends in Finland? Thank you so much. That's a really good question, and this is a difficult topic, especially now during the COVID situation, because you're not able to mingle and see people physically that much. The thing about us Finns is that it might seem that we are a bit closed at first. This is because this is a cultural thing. So basically, us Finns, we need to really spend quite a lot of time with you before we actually consider you as a friend and before we start opening up. So this means that the best way of getting friends in Finland is to hang out with us as much as possible. As a student, normally, if we didn't have this stupid COVID situation, my number one recommendation would be to be as active in student events and student organizations as possible, because that is something that Finnish students do quite a lot, and they are the best places and contexts in which you can actually get to know local students. Two very concrete tips. We Finns usually open up after we drink a bit of alcohol. Unfortunately, that is so. Um, this means that if you, for example, go to a party, you usually get us to relax a bit, and then we will open up, and it's much easier for us to get to know you. The second way to really get to know a Finn is to go to sauna with them. I know this might sound a bit silly, and especially for cultures where, uh, for example, being naked is a bit problematic. Um, Going to a sauna is very important for us culturally, and you trying sauna with Finnish students as an international student is a great way to show the local students that you really want to integrate yourself into the local culture. So, plus, usually when we go and have a sauna, go into a sauna with students, we usually have a couple of drinks. So we have a combination of relaxing and then alcohol together. And yeah, so that would basically be my biggest advice. However, I don't cover these topics that much on my channel. However, I would really recommend that you check out the YouTube channel from Alexi. Alexi is like the OG of like old guard or old school of YouTubers who talk about Finnish culture and Finland in general. And Alexi has especially really good videos about us Finns as people and how to get to know us. For example, how to get a Finnish girlfriend or boyfriend. And I'll link his channel in the chat right now. So please go ahead and check out his videos and let him know that I sent you guys. I would really appreciate it. All right, the next question comes from Arthur. And the question is, after I finish my bachelor's, can I take a break for my master's degree to work and complete it some years later? This is a good question. I'm actually not 100% sure. What I do know is that when you study in Finland, you have the right of being absent, so non-attending, for 2 years at maximum. However, the question is that since you have to pay tuition fees, I'm not quite sure how it works for you. For us Finns, it is not that normal, or I know that it's pretty normal, for example, in the US or especially in the US, because most people in the US only do a bachelor's degree in college. But in Germany and France, for example, where it is pretty normal to do a master's degree as well, I know that it's quite normal to first do your bachelor's and then take a couple of years off to work and then do your master's. However, Finland is a bit different in this sense because we usually continue directly to do our master's after graduating as bachelors. That's simply how the culture here works in education. So I would recommend that you follow this unless you know for sure that you can actually be absent from the school for a couple of years. If you, for example, consider the opportunities to get a job after your master's, or I know that in some countries, employers might question your decision if you have continued directly to master's because they want to see some work experience in between. This is not the case in Finland, and it is completely normal from the perspective of employers that you do your master's directly and after your bachelor's. This is actually the norm. So if you do your bachelor's and then a couple of years of work and then you go and do your master's, you are actually in the minority in this, if you get what I mean. All right. I hope that answered your question. The next one comes from Rai Alem, who comes from Pakistan and is applying in the next application period. And He is doing a bachelor's in animation from the Institute of Art and Culture. That's cool. Actually, Rai Alem already had a comment in one of my videos that I think I replied to, but let's see what his question is. He's interested in a master's in animation from Aalto University or any university in Finland. And the question is portfolio requirements for applying for a master's in animation for Aalto University. Scholarship in masters, and is there any other universities which offer animation in Finland? That's a good question. I unfortunately don't know if there's any other universities in Finland that offer a master's degree in animation. Um, uh, I'm sure that there might not be other schools that specifically offer a master's program in animation. However, you're definitely able to study animation, for example, animation courses or 3D animation courses at other universities as well. The difference is that you might not do a degree itself in animation, right? Um, Scholarships for Aalto University. So scholarships, if you apply to Aalto University, the scholarships work the same way to all the different programs. So if you apply for a master's program at Aalto University, the annual tuition fee is 15,000 euros. Aalto University has two types of scholarships that you can apply to when you apply to school. 50% scholarships and 100% scholarships. None of these scholarships cover any of your living expenses, so they just cover your tuition fee. How you apply for these scholarships is you apply for them with the same application form that you use to apply to the program itself. So when you apply to study animation, you just check a box in the application form, and you will be then applying for a scholarship. Do note that only the best applicants who are admitted to Aalto University or any other university in Finland are granted a scholarship. So it's going to be pretty difficult, but I'm sure you can do it if you just study hard and you have good academic grades from your previous degree. Next question comes from Bon from South Africa. Ooh, cool. Okay. Awesome to have people from South Africa here as well. Anyhow, Bon is applying in the next application period and specifically interested in studying data sciences. The question is, can I apply for the universities without SATs? The SATs, I will get the SAT exam in March or April. Yeah, that's a good question. So in general, if I remember correctly, please make sure to check the exact application deadlines and information from the university that you're applying to, because it might vary a bit. However, as a general rule of thumb, you don't have to have all of your exams, say SATs or ELs or TOEFL, done at the time when you submit your application. You can actually submit your exam scores a bit later. However, the exact deadlines and the schedule depends on the university itself. So please make sure to check the university website for the exact dates, because that's going to vary quite a bit. However, I remember that, for example, for Aalto University, depending on the program, if you apply for a master's degree this fall, so basically between December and January, the application deadline is, I think, in the beginning of January. However, you need to submit your SAT scores, I think, in March. So again, this depends a bit on the school, but the overall answer is yes, you can actually submit the application form without the tests, and then you can actually submit the test scores a bit later using basically the same form. You just reopen it on the website. I hope that answered your question. Just to let you guys know, there's actually only one more question in the Google form. So if you have any questions, please post them in the Google form, which you can find through the description box below. The next question comes from Andrea, again from the US, and again on the live stream here, which I do appreciate. And the question is, the schools I am applying to require Finnish with the level B1, B2. I will be tested in the I will be tested in the entrance exam in March. Do you have any idea how fluent I have to be able to pass the test? You formulated the question perfectly. I just cannot speak. Um, that's a darn good question. I unfortunately don't really know how to answer that. There are tests that you can take um, yourself on the internet. I don't remember where they are, but if you just Google Finnish language official language tests, you should find something. Um, B2 requires you to study hard, especially as an American. It's going to be a challenge. You can do it, but you have to start now. In your case, normally when people ask me the best ways to study Finnish before they come to study in Finland, I usually tell them to use different free tools that are available on the web, and I tell everyone not to pay for the education, because I don't think that's worth the money if you have already been admitted in the school. Because when you come to Finland, you can actually study Finnish in the university itself, and that the level of education at the Finnish universities is of course the best in the world. So there's no point of spending money before you come to Finland. However, in your case, specifically because your admission requires you to have B2 level Finnish, I would actually look for a teacher. I unfortunately doubt it a bit whether you're able to do this on your own in this time frame. Um, I have a video on the channel. Just let me look it up. I have a video on the channel about best free online tools to learn Finnish. Again, they're free tools, but I cover a couple of paid tools as well and paid courses. So check this out. There's at least one educational platform that you can use to contact Finnish language teachers who are actually credited, who actually have a master's degree in education. And I think they would be the best bet for you, because they first of all, they know how to assess your skills and your progress, as well as they know how to proceed with you based on your level. So I think this is the best way to go. The fact that the schools in that teach nursing require you to already know Finnish is I understand the reasoning, but it's ridiculous, especially considering how much of a demand for healthcare workers we have in Finland, and I don't think we can actually afford being picky in this sense, because you can learn Finnish while you're studying. Anyhow, the next question comes from Akshit Reddy, Akshit Reddy, who comes from India. Reddy, um, and who is interested? Who is currently doing a BBA, so Bachelor's in Business Administration, and is interested in getting a MBA at Aalto University. Good. All right. So I actually remember, dude. I remember your question from the comments. Sorry that I haven't been I haven't had the time to answer. I will give you a comprehensive answer right now. In Finland, we do not do MBAs unless you are a professional with multiple years of work experience, and you basically want to do a master's level degree in order for you to progress or get a promotion. Basically, this is a really big simplification, but in Finland we don't do MBAs. At Finnish universities, you actually cannot do an MBA. Aalto University has a separate school called Aalto Executive Education, which specializes in MBAs. However, that's a separate school from Aalto University. If you have a BBA, what I recommend you to do is to apply for a master's program in economics at Aalto University. A master's degree is 2 years, so basically the same as MBA, and it is the same level as an MBA. However, master's degrees in Finland are actually more highly regarded than MBAs, especially if you don't have like 10 or 15 years of work experience. People who do MBAs in Finland usually do them while working. So, for example, I have a family friend who has who has done a long career in banking, and he basically got stuck in terms of the corporate ladder. So he wasn't able to get promoted before he did a master's level degree. So what the bank did, or his employer did, is they paid for his MBA, which he did while working full time in his current position. However, that is not something that, for example, 20-year-old people do. We always go for a master's. So apply for a master's in economics or master's in international business at Aalto University. To your question about is it difficult to get into Aalto to study business? The simple answer is yes. Aalto University is the highest ranking university in Finland, and the Aalto University School of Business is one of the highest ranking business schools in Europe. It is not easy to get in. It's possible if you study very hard for your, I think, GMATs that they require. And you have to also have really good academic record from your previous degree, so BBA. There are also other really good universities in Finland where you can apply to in order to do a master's in business. For example, University of Oulu, University of Turku, University of Vaasa, University of Lappeenranta, etc. They're all really, really good, but it's a bit easier to get in compared to Aalto University. How difficult it is to get in, literally, it's impossible for me to say because it's impossible for me to measure how difficult it is for a person to get in because it depends on you personally. However, this is my tip. Don't go for an MBA, go for a master's in business. Anyhow, the next question comes from Sumit. Awesome to have you here once again. Hi, Oliver. Thank you so much for doing the live Q&As. They are very helpful and clear. They clear a lot of doubt for us. You're welcome. It's really awesome to have you here live. I wouldn't be able to do these live streams without you guys because then I would be sitting here quiet because I wouldn't have any questions to answer. And the question is, I want to know about acceptance rates for Finnish educational institutions. As far as I know, it's very low. Can you tell us about that? Sure. As a general rule of thumb, this is very general because the answer to your question depends completely on the university itself or the school itself, and it also depends heavily on the program itself. So there's multiple layers to the question. As a general rule of thumb, around 10% or less are accepted each year to study at each respective university. Again, this depends. For example, if you apply to do medicine, that's going to be even lower. If you apply to do something very different, it might be a bit higher. If you, for example, apply to study theoretical philosophy, the percentage is extremely low because they only take like 2 people every single year. So again, it depends quite a bit on the degree that you're applying to. So it's very difficult to say. I would need to know the exact school. I know that you're applying to do a degree in nursing. I don't have the numbers here. I could try to look them up if you want to. So for example, what you could do is you could leave a question in one of the videos on the channel, and I could then try to look up the numbers for each school in nursing when I have the time. but it's impossible for me to pull up the numbers currently at the live stream. If that's okay, I hope I hope you understand. All right. The next question comes from Topolo again. Please help me once again. It's been already a couple of live streams that you've been here, and I'm not 100% sure yet. I'm not yet 100% sure how to pronounce your name. Is the double L yo or lo? Topoyo or topolo? Anyhow, the question is. Excuse me. The question is, hi Oliver, would you please do some sort of a tutorial on using the joint application form just a bit before application period starts? Yeah, I actually noticed your comment in one of the videos. Again, sorry for not being able to reply to you before this live stream. Yes, I will definitely do a tutorial on using the joint application form. However, unfortunately I cannot do it before the application period starts because the form is not. I cannot access the form before the school start their application period. It's not there is no link to it. I've been trying to connect with the Finnish education or Ministry of Education who runs the whole thing, but I guess my emails have gone into their spam or something. Most likely they will not. They would not even allow me to access the application form because there's nothing that guarantees that I would not share it to someone else before. I don't know. But yeah, so I'm sorry, rambling. The answer to this question is absolutely yes. I will do a tutorial, but I can only do it after the application starts. I'll try to do it on the first week of the application so that you guys will have enough time to actually watch it. Anyhow, next question comes from Ekaterina from Russia, who is applying to study in Finland in the next application period, specifically at Aalto University and in the Department of Architecture. And the question is, hi Oliver, I am considering doing my master's in Finland. I have studied a bachelor's in architecture in Hamburg before. Cool, that's really cool. I think that actually might have positive impact on your application because you've done your degree abroad already. That's always a positive. I'm wondering if it's possible to get a job as a student in technical drawing for some architecture companies without speaking Finnish. I've heard that it is possible to work up to 25 hours a week, which is more than Germany allows. But the language still remains a question. I speak Russian, German, and English. Thanks, Ekaterina. Yeah, so that's a good question. First of all, I just want to confirm, yes, you're correct in that students who are not European Union citizens, for example, you can work for a maximum of 25 hours per week on average. I actually just posted a video about this. Just let me pull that out as well. If you just bear with me for a second. Andrea, you're welcome. I hope that gave you a bit of context. Again, I'm sorry for not being able to answer you directly here. These topics are pretty complicated. So again, leave me a comment somewhere or send me a DM on LinkedIn, Instagram, or for example, send me a DM in the Discord server, or even better, leave a question in the questions and answers channel on the Discord server so that I can actually answer your question there, and then that's visible for everyone. That would be actually cool. So, Ekaterina, your question about jobs. Of course, I cannot guarantee that you will get a job. However, considering that you already have a bachelor's degree in architecture from a different country than Russia, this is purely the fact that you have actually done your degree in abroad. That's always positive. And you speak German, Russian, and English. I'm pretty sure that you should be able to find a job. Especially considering that many of the jobs, like technical drawing, they're not jobs where you're in direct contact with customers. So I actually interviewed a couple of international students or graduates a year ago for my job, who were working for a construction company or construction consultancy company. And one of them was a constructural engineer, and then the other was a designer in engineering, basically. So construction designer, I guess, and very close to technical designer. But he had a degree in engineering. And that company, for example, I spoke to their CEO and founder, and they said that they specifically want to have their working language as English because that gives them access to more talented people. There are some companies in Finland, of course, in these fields that are more traditional, founded by people who don't really necessarily speak that much English, or they don't want to change the entire company language into English. So for those, it might be a bit difficult. However, there are plenty of companies, small and big, in Finland where you definitely can find jobs. What I would recommend you to do is that after you get admitted to Aalto, right, you actually start being as active on LinkedIn as possible, looking for jobs on LinkedIn and trying to network with Finnish architecture professionals in the field of architecture. Also, start networking with Finnish recruiters and HR specialists because that is a really, really good way of actually finding a job or getting headhunted, basically. Then the second thing I would recommend is that once you get into Aalto, start being really active with the Aalto School of Arts student union or student organization because they organize quite a lot of events where companies that are relevant to you come and meet students. So that's a really great way of connecting with these company representatives and their recruiters. And I think that would be a really good bet for you to network and then maybe at some point get a job. So I hope that these tips help you. The overall answer to your question, are you able to find a job? Definitely yes. It's going to take some effort. But I think that if you use these tips and for example, after you get admitted, contact me on LinkedIn and I could, for example, help you a bit more on a personal level. Arjun, awesome to have you here. What's up? Awesome to have you here in the chat as well. I'm just trying to see if there's any new people in the chat. I don't think so. All right. Before we move any further, I just want to tell you about something really cool. So if you saw one of my my latest video about how much you can work in Finland while studying, you might have noticed that I have actually started a collaboration with a Finnish watch brand called Aarni. So Aarni is a pretty young company. I actually know the founders personally from school, and they make these awesome wooden watches, if you can see. These awesome wooden watches as well as other wooden accessories like sunglasses. And I actually partnered up with Aarni because first of all, I love their products myself. And since you guys are already interested in Finland and Finnish nature and culture, I thought that if you want to get yourself a piece of Finnish nature already now, you can actually utilize a discount code that the guys at Aarni gave me, which will get you 10% off all of Aarni's products on their web store. So if you actually want to get yourself for example, a wooden watch or wooden sunglasses, and you want to support the channel because I get a small commission from every purchase, you can actually utilize the link that I have in the description box below. And I actually have the discount code there as well. So if you want to utilize that, I would really appreciate it. And I'm sure that you're also going to be very happy with the product. One more thing about the Aarni watches, they actually are, for the price, the quality of the work and, for example, the quality of the packaging is absolutely incredible. So here is actually one of the Aarni watches that the guys sent me with a navy blue watch face and the watch case and strap made out of Finnish wood. So this is actually really cool because the watches that they make are mostly made out of Finnish wood, which actually is really cool because I love Finnish nature. And personally, I actually had a watch brand that we worked for and still working on for the last 5 years. We make handmade watches that are very expensive, and we've only sold a couple of them. But I love the fact that the guys at Arni have actually made a watch brand that is affordable, but still really, really pretty. And the quality of the work is absolutely incredible. All right. Arjun, yeah, that's correct. My LinkedIn profile is actually, you can find it from the description box below. If you could please, if when you connect with me on LinkedIn, send attach into the connection request a short message about where you found me, so that I know that you're you, so that I will not discard your connection request. That would be awesome. All right, just a second. Need a drink. Also, guys, it would be really awesome to know what is the time, local time in your home country, and what are you actually drinking currently. I'm once again drinking this red magic juice, which is made in Finland. It's really, really nice, refreshing, especially in the evening. Also, just to let everyone know, if you for some reason are not yet a member of our Discord server, I basically set up this Discord server a couple of weeks ago with the idea of building a community of people who are interested in studying and building their careers in Finland. And in the server, I post updates about my upcoming videos and live streams, and I basically have a more personal dialogue with you guys because it's a bit easier to discuss with you in the chat there compared to in the comments on YouTube. If you want to join the server, there's a link in the live chat right now. All right, the next question comes from Akshit. And the question is, I'm an average student with a 70% score. So can you tell me if it's good enough to get in Masters in International Business in any university in Finland? I'm sure that it is. It's impossible for me to tell you for sure because the conversion, I don't know how to convert that percentage into a grade in Finland. The different high school degrees or for example, the BBA diploma that you have, it's impossible for me to say what that would be in Finland. But if it's 70%, I would think that that's good enough, especially considering that most university applications in Finland actually don't. They have other application. They have other application documents and tests that they take into account in addition to your previous degree as well. So what I would recommend that you do is that if you, for example, have to do your SATs or GMATs for a master's degree, study really hard in order to get as high scores as possible. And that would then help you get in. All right, we have a couple of questions in the form, so I'll just go through these pretty quickly. Next one comes from Arthur. Oliver, I really like the field of environmental engineering, so I'm also considering applying for it when I graduate from high school. What is your overview of this field in Finland? Are environmental engineers sought after? Absolutely yes. Finland is one of the, how should I say this? Finland is one of the top countries in environmental sciences as well as environmental innovations. Finland is a country of forests, and we have been utilizing our forest and, for example, our forest industry for over 100 years to build the country up. And since the demand of paper internationally has gone down quite a bit during the last years, the industry has been looking for new ways to use our forest resources in terms of international trade. In addition, we really feel that Finland has a role to play in diminishing the impacts of climate change. And this is where environmental engineers and people who study hard sciences come in. and there's a huge amount of new startups coming up in these fields. And most of those startups, unlike what normally happens, they are actually led by scientists. So in Finland, it is pretty regular to have engineers starting companies, but they have been more traditional, like mechanical engineers. But now we actually see more and more hard science scientists, like environmental scientists, mathematicians, physicists, actually setting up these awesome innovative companies that try to innovate or create new innovations around environmental solutions. And I'm sure that environmental engineering is absolutely one of those fields where there is demand in the future. So absolutely yes, if that is something that you're interested in, I would highly, highly recommend that you pursue it. All right, the next question comes from Susan from Hungary, who has not yet decided whether or not she wants to study in Finland, but is considering Aalto University School of Economics or School of Business, and specifically the program in economics. And the question is, hi, I'm interested whether it's worth to do a bachelor's program in economics at Aalto, or is it better to wait and apply for a master's program? Also, if I get accepted, are there organizations who help international students to settle down and manage their things? Thank you for the help. Those are very good questions, and I hope that you are still live, because I would love to be able to give you an answer face to face live. You get what I mean. So, number one, absolutely, it is absolutely worth doing a bachelor's degree in economics at Aalto University. Not only because when you apply for a bachelor's degree, you actually at the same time apply for a master's as well. Let me explain. When you are admitted to study a bachelor's degree in Finland, at a university, specifically at a university, not a university of applied sciences, you are automatically admitted to do a master's degree directly after your bachelor's. This means that when you apply for bachelor's and you get in, you can do your degree and then continue directly to a master's. So there is no separate application in between. The bachelor's degree education in business at Aalto University is extremely high quality. And again, Aalto University is the highest ranking university in Finland, and the student community and the startup community and the ecosystem is one of the best in the world. So absolutely, you should apply to do a bachelor's at Aalto and then continue to do your master's. If you are able to get admitted, I would absolutely recommend it, and you will not be disappointed. I can just personal experience. I can put my hand on my heart and tell you that you should absolutely do this. To your second question about if I get accepted, are there organizations who help international students to settle down? Yes. 2 points here. First of all, Aalto University has extremely active tutors. So every single year, the Aalto University Student Union, AYY, and all the different sub-organizations like guilds and student organizations. In your case, the student organizations for business students, Aalto University business students, they train tutors for the new students. And they put a lot of emphasis on training the tutors to help international students to settle down, get their things sorted, get their apartment, get furniture, get to know their city, how to shop around, how to move around, how to get a public transport ticket. Some tutors even are nice enough to actually pick you up from the airport and bring you to HOAS or whatever your apartment provider is, help you get the keys and get to your apartment in the first evening. Second, at Aalto, we actually have a separate organization called, specifically under the School of Business, called KY Sub, SUB. I can actually bring it up for you if you just wait a second. So KY Sub is a subcommittee of the Aalto University's Business Students Organization. I have the link in this chat right now. So the only job of KY Sub, which is a volunteer organization. I'll just read the text directly from here. KY Sub, KY's international subcommittee, is the youngest and liveliest subcommittee on a mission to integrate exchange and international students to the Finnish student culture. Our all-inclusive events range from crazy theme parties to more laid-back hangouts, but we also have events aimed at specifically groups of students, such as the memorable Lapland and St. Petersburg trips for exchange students. So this is an organization that is specifically founded to help international students to settle down in Finland and to get everything out of their student experience in the country. So they will basically take you into their group and make sure that you enjoy your stay, and you will find help to anything that you need from them while you're staying here. What is up, Green Life? Just a second, I will get to your question in a moment. If you guys have any, if you just joined the stream and if you want me to answer any of your, if you just joined the stream and if you haven't been to these live streams before, how these usually work is that I have a Google form linked in the description box below. So if you have any questions that you would like me to answer live, please post your question in the Google form, because that makes sure that I can answer all of your questions in a first come, first serve basis. The live chat gets pretty busy during the live stream, and it is highly likely that I will miss your question if you post it there. However, I will get to your question in just a moment once I've covered all the questions that we currently have in the form. And the next question comes from Abdi Manu. And the question is gray your favorite color? because I've seen you mostly in gray t-shirts. It's not my favorite color, but I know that it goes pretty well with me. For me, one of the reasons I'm actually using t-shirts at the office is that it's really hot, even in the autumn, and I don't want to start sweating. I have the lights; they warm up quite a lot as well. That's a funny question. Anyhow, the next question comes from Wanis, who comes from Morocco. Sorry for butchering your name. If you want me to learn how to pronounce your name properly, DM me on Instagram with a audio message, or DM me in the Discord server that I have linked in the description box below, and send me a audio message so that I can learn to pronounce your name. Anyhow, he is already in Finland, studying at the Helsinki Business College. Awesome. And the question is, I would like to ask you if it's possible to apply for jobs here in Finland with an international background. I have a master's degree in business administration, or should I try to make the equivalent for my certificates to get to know the value of my diploma? What do you think? So if I understood correctly, you already have a master's degree in business administration. You should absolutely be able to get a job in Finland as an international, with an international background, especially if you're currently studying in Finland, because you already have a residence permit. So if you just bear with me for a moment, I will send you a link to a video. So I just a while ago published a video about finding a job as a international student in Finland. I have 15 tips on finding a job as an international student in Finland. It is linked in the live chat right now. There's a bunch of different tools and tips on how to actually look for a job. As a background information, if you didn't know, I actually used to work for 4 years in the Finnish recruitment market. So I do have quite a bit of information on how the job market works. And these tips that I have linked to you for you in the live chat will definitely help you find a job in your field. Absolutely. In terms of the job market for business graduates, it's really good. We usually have really high employment numbers. Of course, the current COVID crisis is making it a bit more difficult, but I'm sure that you should not have any problems. It's going to take some effort, but you will still find a job, definitely. as long as you know where to look for. The next question comes from someone who comes from Nigeria. Awesome. We have people from all around the world. That's cool. Who is applying, and he's applying in the next application period, specifically to study business. And the question is, I know it will seem weird, but actually I can't afford the 9,600 euros for the student visa. But I can't afford the money monthly in Finland. So what can I do for this? I really want to study in Finland, so I don't want to lose this opportunity. And this is a condition to make the visa and study in Finland. And are there any scholarships that fund the living cost for bachelor's degree students? I think I would be an au pair, and after that study in Finland. But I don't know will that be an acceptable way or not. All right, so if you're coming to Finland as an au pair, you will not be able to study in Finland after that. The residence permit that you get as an au pair will not be good enough for a residence permit. So I'm not completely sure what you mean. You might have to elaborate a bit more in the chat, but student visa in Finland does not cost 9,600 euros. I think applying for a student visa for the first time with the digital system costs like 350 euros. So what I think you mean is that the annual tuition fee for the university, which is 9,600 euros. So this is a common question about studying in Finland because the tuition fees are high. Universities in Finland do have scholarship programs for talented applicants. The extent of the scholarships and what kind of scholarships they have depend on the school, on each university, and on each degree program. So there's no direct answer to this question on or how to apply and how big they are. I would recommend that you go and check out the website of the university that you are interested in and go and check out their scholarship options. I can't really help you before you do that because it depends on the school, and the question is so wide that unfortunately I can't help. You can work part-time while studying in Finland. However, you cannot rely on your salary in order to pay for your living costs. First of all, when you apply for your your residence permit for studies for the first year, the Finnish immigration service will not accept a job as a way to support you financially. When you apply for the first residence permit, your residence permit for the first year, you have to have enough finances to finance that first year in Finland. After that, you can apply for an extension in your residence permit, and there you can actually argue that you will pay for your living expenses and tuition fee with work. However, that is going to be extremely difficult because finding a part-time job that pays enough, especially since you have to study quite a bit during the year, is going to be extremely difficult, and I don't recommend it. Arjun, actually, so I haven't worked as a recruiter per se. I've actually worked at a recruitment company. So I actually worked as a first for a year. I worked as a account manager, so basically a B2B salesperson for this recruitment company. So I basically sold our services, and then I moved to another position, and I worked for 3 years as basically the head of B2B marketing. So I was in charge of a huge chunk of our marketing activities. But I wasn't. I'm not a recruiter. I don't have the proficiency, and I don't know the legal side of recruiting in Finland enough to be a recruiter. In addition to your question, there's actually so many different recruitment companies and consultancies already in Finland that me alone, that would not be feasible. I have a couple of old colleagues who have actually started a recruitment consultancy, and it's not easy. The second thing is that, for example, helping international students get a job in Finland is a very difficult field because of the stupid residence permit problems that we have in Finland. So it's just better to hire Finnish or people who are already in Finland, who already have a residence permit in Finland, because there's quite a lot of market there that has not yet been touched. Excuse me. Anyhow, the next question comes from Topoyo. And the comment, actually, not a question. Time here is pretty same with Finland, at least from what Google search shows. Now it's 6:59 p.m. Right, so in Finland, it's actually currently 8:16 at this very moment. So I think we're a couple of, we're maybe an hour and a half ahead or 2 hours ahead, I guess. No, actually, we're 1 hour ahead, I think, yeah. All right, the next question comes from Avishak, who comes from Bangladesh and has not yet decided whether or not he wants to study in Finland, but is interested in pharmacy. And the question is, getting a course in life sciences seems difficult, plus tuition fee is too much as well. What about job sectors in pharmaceutical sciences? I want to know if it's worth spending all the money getting a master's degree in Finland in life sciences. Will I be able to get a job afterwards? Absolutely. If you're able to do a master's degree in pharmaceutical sciences in Finland, you will absolutely get a job in Finland, and a high-paying job. And the only question is, A, are you able to afford it? And then B, are you able to actually get an immediate? But pharmaceutical sciences in Finland is a very good field, and they have people who have graduated from that field have good job career prospects, and the question is only about whether or not you're able to get in. All right, question from Architect Strange, who comes from India and is applying in the next application period to Aalto University to study architecture. I see what you did there. So the question is, Oliver, can you give a small talk on intake per patch in numbers in each department in master's programs, especially in art and design courses? Unfortunately not. The numbers are not public. And if they are, they have not been updated on the Aalto University websites yet. I could actually, well, I could try to look it up super fast. Just bear with me for a moment. Meanwhile, I would really love to know what is the one thing that you guys are wondering about Finland as a country? Is there any things that you are actually wondering about, or do you have any questions about Finland as a country or a country to live in? Just let me know in the chat. I would love to have a discussion about this topic, because you come from all around the world, and it would be really cool to know, first of all, how much you know about Finland, and then perhaps what kind of things you're wondering about, because it's going to be a big difference moving from, for example, from Brazil or India. So let me see. No, unfortunately, I cannot find the statistics for the different departments in Masters in Art and Design. What I've understood is that the numbers of the intake per patch numbers are not, either they're not public, or then they are published only after the application period has ended, because they vary between each year. I'm sorry, actually, I have to take that back. The batches, the intake numbers are not, they are public information. I just can't find them right now. If you want to if you want me to look them up, join our Discord server. You can find the link into the Discord server either in the description box below or on the top of the chat. And join the server and send me a DM or post a question in the questions and answers chat channel, and I will look the numbers up for you a bit later and post them there, if that's okay with you. All right, we're actually out of questions in the forum, so let me just jump back into the chat for a second. Arjun, awesome. That would be actually really cool if you're interested in buying a watch. Yeah, I think you can get international delivery to India. Shouldn't be a problem. You can actually check through the website. So if you just use the link that I have in the description box below, and use the code, you can actually, if you proceed to the checkout, you can actually see whether or not delivery to India to your address is possible and how much it will cost. But that would be awesome if you would want to actually buy a watch for yourself. I would especially recommend. So the watch that I have here, this is actually the Arni XO Elm. So it's actually made out of Finnish elm wood or elm tree, and it has this really nice wide dial. This is actually I have pretty big wrists or thick wrists, so this actually goes really well for me. This is the correct size. So I would recommend that you buy a watch that has specifically Finnish wood, because that's kind of the point that is going to be a Finnish product. Arni also has a couple of other watches that are not made out of Finnish wood because they are more exotic. But I would really recommend that you buy something that's very Finnish and kind of traditional. But that would be awesome because that's also supporting the channel, which I would appreciate. Let's see what else we have. It's currently 2 o'clock in Brazil, 10:30 in India. Let me see. Then we have so Arjun is asking, I have a master's in information technology from Australia and bachelor's degree in electrical engineering from India. So can I apply for another master's degree in automation and electrical engineering? I think so. Yeah, you might. I don't see any reason why you shouldn't be able to. The only thing is that you need to have your previous degree. I'm not meaning the master's, but you need to have a degree that is basically that makes you eligible to apply for a master's in electrical engineering. So I'm not sure if information technology makes you eligible, because you would need to have certain, for example, courses in physics and mathematics and engineering. However, if you already have a degree in electrical engineering from India, that should make you eligible to apply for. We actually have our head of technology, our chief engineer is actually a mechanical engineer graduate from Aalto University, and he's really, really good at what he does, and he's from Mexico originally, and he's done both his bachelor's and master's in Finland. So yeah, absolutely. So Arjun, it would be awesome if you were interested in buying a watch. Plus, I would definitely recommend that you apply to study in Finland for a second master's. Absolutely. It's something o'clock. It's noon in Peru. Nice weather today, pretty sunny. All right, so we actually had a lot of rain today, which kind of sucked. But well, it's September. It's October, so it's usually pretty rainy. Unfortunately, it's been a really, really warm October this year for some reason. Climate change, I guess. And when I was 15 or so, it was actually possible to have already snow already now in Helsinki, but most likely we're going to get snow only after Christmas, which really in the southern part of Finland, which really sucks, because that means that November is going to be very cold and dark. It's always lovely to have snow during the autumn, because that makes everything a bit more light, because the snow reflects so much light into it creates a lot of ambient light, which is really nice. Arjun saying, as you have maintained earlier that you have worked as that was, yeah, I already answered that question. Spring Nuance, awesome to have you here as well. I'm doing pretty good, a bit tired. It's been a hectic September, October, especially after I quit my day job and started doing YouTube full time. But I'm doing well. I've stayed safe and healthy, which is of course important. All of my relatives and good friends are also healthy, even though the situation is pretty crappy. I hope that you're fine as well. I promote economics and Aalto University so much that I'm evaluating to study economics. Yeah, of course, economics is a good degree to study because there's so many job opportunities under the general field of economics, so like or business in general. So you can study study economics. So basically the global economics, for example. You could study finance, accounting and administration, strategy, management, investment or financing, marketing, business law. There's so many different things that you can actually study underneath the general term of business and economics, which means that there's really, really good job opportunities and career prospects no matter what you basically major in. That also means that it doesn't really matter what country you study in because you're always able to change countries and go and work somewhere else. Unlike, for example, if you study nursing in Finland, then you are going to be certified in working as a nurse in Finland, but it might not apply in other countries because that's a field where you have to be certified nationally. So this is one of the reasons why I say that business is really good. Plus, I really personally enjoy it. So, of course. Arafet saying, hi, thanks for all the efforts. I am from Tunisia and I'm interested in mechatronics. Ooh, that's really cool. Can you explain us the details of studying in Finnish universities? Sure. If you are not a native Finnish speaker, it is not possible for you to study in Finnish in Finland. That's pretty simple. Even though I know that the reason that why many people want to study in Finnish in Finland is because we don't have tuition fees for Finnish taught degrees. However, the problem is that when you apply to study in Finnish, you have a completely separate application process compared to when you study in English. What this entails is that you first of all you need to speak almost native level Finnish. You actually have to prove your proficiency in Finnish language before you can even apply. One of the things, for example, is that all the documentation about applying to study in Finnish, they're all in Finnish. So you cannot find any information in English. So that's already a barrier of entry for you. Second thing is that when you apply to study in Finnish, you have to do these extremely difficult entrance exams that are based on the Finnish high school curriculum, which means that the recent high school graduates from Finland who are native speakers have already studied those topics for 3 years. They are native Finnish speakers and they have a native advantage on compared to you on everything. All the materials are in Finnish. You can only get the books from Finland and you can only do those entrance exams physically in Finland. You can't do them anywhere else, for example, online. Usually you have to do them at the university campus. Next, if you would, for some reason, be able to get admitted to study in Finnish, then you would still have to pass all of your courses or you would be basically kicked out of the university. So absolutely not. Don't even consider applying to study in Finnish in Finland unless you are a native Finnish speaker. Or unless you're a native Estonian speaker, because Estonian is pretty close to Finnish, so you could study the language. However, compared to, for example, to studying mechatronics in English at a school of engineering in Finland, so it's so much easier because usually you have to do do SATs or, for example, SATs, TOEFL, or IELTS, or for example GMATs. No, not necessarily GMATs, but studying for those is so much easier compared to studying for entrance exams in Finnish. And statistically speaking, a difficult word. Statistically speaking, you're much more likely to get to study any degree in English compared to studying in Finnish. Period. I absolutely would not recommend you to even consider studying in Finnish. You will waste your time and you will not get a degree, unfortunately. This is the truth. So I'm sorry to be blunt about it, but I don't want you guys to waste your time on this. Topoyo saying that rain is good for the soul. That is true. Arjen asking, is Finland or Estonia better for doing masters? I would say Finland, definitely. There are a couple of really good Estonian universities, for example, the University of Tallinn. However, they are not ranking as high internationally as universities in Finland. So I would definitely recommend that you come to Finland. Also, the international networks and the student culture, as well as the startup ecosystem, and considering job opportunities, for example, in Finland, are I think better than, for example, in Estonia. So I would definitely recommend you come here. Estonia is a perfectly good country. It's a very nice country actually, and it's a very modern country. But I would still recommend coming to Finland. Spring Nuance asking, are you sure that it is possible to get a job in Helsinki region, assuming we try our best? I read on Quora and Reddit, and they say it's very hard nowadays to get a job in Finland. So if you read from Quora or from Reddit, people tend to leave the comments only after they have a negative experience. So that's the reason why you mostly see negative comments about these topics on Reddit, for example. It is not easy to get a job in Helsinki as an international student, especially if you don't have prior work experience in your field, and especially if you're doing your like first or second year in bachelor's. Especially at the current time, because of the COVID situation, it's much more difficult even for Finnish people to get a job, because the job market has basically tanked in March, and it's only now going back up. Some fields have not recovered at all. For example, the restaurant field, tourism industry has not recovered at all from spring. However, the further you get in your studies, the easier it gets to find a job. Also, the better you do in school, and the more active you are in your local student community, the easier it is to get a job. So if you come to study in Finland, I would highly recommend that you do not spend 24/7 in a library alone, even though you would get good grades, because you have to network. You have to meet local students. You have to get to know local students. You have to learn the culture. You have to learn how the recruitment processes happen. You have to get to know company representatives who come to these student events, career events. And you have to do well in school, but you don't have to be pitch perfect. In addition, again, the further you get in your studies, the easier it gets to find a job. Plus, after you find your first good job in your field, the easier it gets to find the second and third and fourth and fifth job. Usually the first job is the most difficult. All right, let's see. We have a couple more comments in the chat, then I'll jump back into the forum. Green Life, Oliver, can we chat later privately about my settling in Finland by a job, please? If yes, you can send me an email mentioning the interview time at this email. Sure, we can talk a bit more in a couple of weeks. If you could please send me a message on LinkedIn. You can find the link to my LinkedIn profile in the description box below. I will not remember to send you an email, unfortunately. There's so many things going on at the moment. So please contact me on LinkedIn and we can discuss a bit more. Architect Strange, I will get to your questions in just a second if you can hold on for a moment. Arthur saying, Oliver, what do you think about Tampere? Is the job market good there? Is it more affordable than Helsinki? Yeah, it's definitely more affordable than Helsinki, although the job market is not as good as in Helsinki. Tampere is a big city, so you should find jobs there as well. However, if you, for example, want to study environmental engineering, I would definitely recommend Helsinki, because we have the largest amount of companies in those fields in the fields that you might be interested in the Helsinki or in the capital region. So I would recommend coming here. Even though Helsinki is a very expensive city, you can still find affordable housing in the Helsinki capital region, because it's a big place, and the apartment prices, they range a huge amount. In addition, in the capital region, we also have a very good student apartment system, as I've mentioned to you before. And if you utilize that, the cost is not going to be that high. So I would definitely still recommend coming to Helsinki, even though it's a bit more expensive. Can you hear me? I'm having some issues with the connection. Oh, okay, it's fine now. Yeah. So Arjun, as an international student, my first priority would be to study. However, I also needed to look at my financial support. I was browsing Tech University for tuition fees. It's very much lower than Aalto. Sure, I think it's lower than Aalto. Not sure how much lower it is. I don't remember the numbers exactly. But again, considering that you have a very good background already in your field, you have experience, and you have multiple degrees in your field, I would consider applying to Aalto nevertheless. And I think you have to do some kind of again, unfortunately not. I don't remember the exact details. I think Aalto University has already published their application websites for this year, so go ahead and check them out. Or actually, never mind. I'll just pull it up for you. Let's see. Uh, architecture strange. I will have the information about applying to Aalto University School of Architecture in the live chat in just a second. There you go. Check the specific requirements for that program from that website, and you should be golden. I don't remember the exact details out of the top of my. No, so the application form is done via the study info website. I will send you the link to that as well. So check out this website. So check out this website as well. Currently, they don't have the application forms open. They do have some screenshots of the previous application forms. Basically, they're the same. The application form for all universities is basically the identical. However, what changes is that there's different attachments and different, for example, certificates that you have to upload as attachments, and that's basically the way it differentiates from the other universities. The application form will open when the application period for the universities open up in December. Currently, I cannot access the live form because of this reason. However, you can actually check out the screenshots if you want to. Then thank you in advance. Really following you for a long time, man. I do appreciate that. That's really cool of you. You are so helpful to many people. Really, keep it up. I will meet you for sure when I land in Finland in the upcoming year. Yeah, that would be actually really cool. First of all, I really do appreciate the positive feedback. I'm very happy to hear that these videos are actually bringing value to guys. Because there would be no reason for me to make these videos and live streams unless you actually, unless I'm able to help you guys at least to some extent. Uh, Once we actually get rid of this COVID situation, I've been planning on setting up some kind of a subscriber meetup in Helsinki or in Finland somewhere, so that we could actually meet with a group, which would be really, really cool. Then a couple of more questions. Then I think I will end the stream for today. First one coming from Khalil, who comes from Algeria and is applying to Lappeenranta University of Applied Sciences in the next application period, specifically to the program of Business Information Technology. So the question is, hi Oliver. So recently I got an invitation to pass an entrance exams on the 14th of October. Do you know how to get the math and logics materials to prepare for the exam? No, unfortunately, I do not. I would recommend that you contact the admissions office of lab ASAP, so as soon as possible. If you didn't have the materials for that exam in your entrance exam invitation, then I would just really quickly contact the admission services to ask for instructions. Unfortunately, I cannot help you with this. You can, if you just Google lab or Lappeenranta University of Applied Sciences admission contact, and you can find their contact information. Another question, which is, how are the online entrance exams? Will they be monitored by a person, or the exam will be like an assignment? No idea, unfortunately. The online entrance exams for this year are completely new because of the situation with COVID. I have no experience in them, so I cannot say for sure. If they are not monitored, then they are made to be so difficult that you will not have any help out of Google. If they are monitored, then of course they're a bit easier, but again, I don't know. The next question comes from Spring Nuance, and the question is, can I find any jobs in the field of computational engineering? Yes, you can. Absolutely, you can. There are plenty of very